Hey there, my name is Alex. I am usually the Silvermont, but this is a little more of a personal video, and in this video, if the title didn't clue you in, we're going to be looking at the themes of hope and despair in the Souls franchise and Bloodborne. Why? Well, I was talking with somebody earlier this year about the topic and I thought it an interesting one. These games vary greatly in how one might interpret them, after all. To me, in spite of its name and many dark themes, Dark Souls has always been a series about hope. I find it an uplifting and hopeful story, if still a dark and dreary one. During the worst points in my life, Dark Souls was there, and it might not immediately seem like something a very depressed person should be playing, but there you go. Shortly after the release of the first Dark Souls, I went into a severe depression, but playing it, along with Dragon's Dogma, definitely helped me out a lot. But then we have Bloodborne, a series I find no hope in. I love Bloodborne and I think it's an amazing game, and Old Hunters is perhaps my favourite DLC of anything From have put out, and in general one of the best DLCs I've played, period. That said, the themes of despair in Bloodborne are far greater to me than in Dark Souls, so I thought it might be interesting to look at that and to see what you guys think. Perhaps you find Bloodborne more hopeful, more optimistic, or maybe you think there's no hope to be found when playing Dark Souls, and so forth. Do let me know down in the comments. So let's start with Dark Souls, the tale of an undead destined to die again and again as they venture through the fallen realm that is Lordran. Where is the hope there? The monsters are horrifying, most everyone you meet with comes to a nasty end. Even the most optimistic of characters, Solaire and Siegmeyer, can suffer terrible fates. I suppose, the way I see it, Dark Souls is a tale of human stubbornness, of an indomitable, unbreakable will. Yes, the chosen undead may well suffer countless deaths, but so long as you, the player, choose to continue, there is no game over. There is always a light at the end of that tunnel, so to speak. A very literal one if you link the fire. Whether or not that is a good ending is up to you to decide, but again, personally I find both endings satisfying and hopeful. Solaire can have a good ending, defeating Gwyn and lighting the fire in his own world, finding his son, or becoming the son he was searching for. Siegmeyer's ending isn't something you would exactly call happy. It is sad, but it is also rather bittersweet. I do think there is some hope there. Lynn has closure now. She is free to return home, having put her father to rest. And well, what about the other NPCs? Whilst it's true many don't end up in a desirable place, I never found the themes of despair to run too deep in Dark Souls. Only the crestfallen seems to have truly given up hope. Solaire has his moments of doubt, and others are often found in dire situations, but there are a few who actually have happy endings, for lack of a better term. Quaylana, arguably Quaylag's sister, the giant blacksmith, Dusk, Ingward, and well, Rhea gets a few nasty endings, but even in those, I'd like to think she grew as a person and as a character from her initial starting point. See, that's part of what made Dark Souls so satisfying for me. Characters, not all of them I'll admit, had arcs. They went through development, even if just a little. I found the characters in Dark Souls 3, by contrast, well, rather static. They didn't grow or develop as much, aside from many of them being variations or reincarnations of Dark Souls 1 characters to begin with. Then we have Bloodborne though. Where to begin? Every ending to this game seems bad or full of despair to me. Turning into a slug is not a life I want to look forwards to. Being killed by Gehrman and waking up is almost hopeful. But even then, something about it feels like one of those horror movie fake endings, where you think everything's fine, everything's cool, you wake up the next day and you're on fire and Jason is crushing your head. I'm not even entirely sure why. That ending just gives me that vibe, and I don't know why. Then we have the Become Gehrman ending, which is perhaps the most depressing of all. Remember how sad Gehrman was? He's been there for who knows how long, wanting nothing more than to wake up, to be free of that terrible dream. And now we are doomed to live out his life for however long it takes. The Old Hunter's ending, on the other hand, I really like. I still find it dark and a little depressing, but perhaps that slight glimmer on the horizon gives me hope that not everything is fucked. It's the most Dark Souls style ending to me, and perhaps that's why I like it the most. In fact, the Old Hunter's ending might be my favourite ending in anything Souls related, or at the very least tied with the ending to Scholar of the First Sin. Then we have the NPCs in Bloodborne. Do any of them have a remotely happy ending? Or even hopeful? Alfred reveals himself to be a mad zealot and butchers his way through Cainhurst Castle before presumably offing himself. That is chilling. Gascoigne and his entire family suffer unavoidable fates. Near about every NPC ends up dead or suffering, with little to no hope in their conclusions. I suppose Eileen can entrust her duty to you, but what good is that? A duty that will no doubt see you going mad in time, and that's all it will take. Time. And that is what is so interesting about these games. Having spoken to a few people, I find it fascinating how differently we all interpret these events. Some find Dark Souls as gloomy as Bloodborne, if not more so, seeing Bloodborne as being hopeful that humans will elevate themselves above beastly instincts and desires and such. What do you think? Do let me know in the comments. And we didn't talk much about Demon Souls, did we? Well, I don't have as much experience with that one as I've only played it like 2 or 3 times, but I find it veers more towards Bloodborne than Dark Souls. The world, or at least what we experience of the world, is so utterly ruined no matter what you do. It's who can be happy, who can find hope in that world, and even the good ending feels cold to me. You're giving up on the soul arts, you're giving up on all this technology. Not really technology, but you're giving up all this advanced magical arts just to survive? And what about other games entirely? Well, I'll tell you what, Final Fantasy Type 0 had a really damn depressing ending, and Lost Odyssey had some really sad moments in the 1000 Year of Memory segments. Until next time though, you take care. Ciao.